Hi guys, welcome to my first night of a series I've been looking forward to. So I'll be calling this my 13 Nights of Halloween. I hope you enjoy it, and my special guest.
Hi, I'm Teresa.
Okay, so let's get to it. For this one, I thought I would ease into my 13 Nights of Halloween by sharing some spooky experiences, paranormal experiences, witchy things that has happened to us. I'm really interested in this. You may believe, or you can take it for entertainment value. But either way, I hope you enjoy this. And if you have had any paranormal stuff happen to you, please comment down below or reach to me privately. My email is linked, as are my socials. I would love to hear your stories and maybe share them in a future video. But yes, Teresa has some really scary stories. Mine are quite tame compared to her.
I don't know if they're scary.
They were to me.
Okay. I mean, when you're a kid, they're scary, but like, I don't know. I guess I've always, believed in, the paranormal just because when you grow up and your little sister's constantly asking who the person in your parents' bedroom is, and there's nobody there, like you're gonna start to question things, and only to find out that it's one of your grandparents, apparently, that we had never seen a picture before until my mom dug them out the one day. So it's been around for a while. It's pretty innocuous for quite a while, so I lived in a duplex for a while, and unlike other duplexes, it was the ground floor and then the upper floor was an apartment. And my cousins lived up there, so my cousin and her daughter. And her daughter had a lot of imaginary friends, and they were normal, you would
real imaginary friends?
like normal imaginary friends that young kids would have. They were named weird things, they did weird things. There was once we couldn't go into the bathroom for forever because one of the imaginary friends was in there for forever. So whatever. But there was one that had a normal name. His name was Will, and he never came downstairs. Ever. Did not. And it just always whenever she spoke about him, it just always gave off a different vibe than the rest of the imaginary friends. And then started to notice some things that didn't seem like it would be my grandma, who my sister still was seeing around the place. There was one night I was up late, and there's a stairway that comes down from the apartment, and there's a door in our bedroom that we can open and go up if we ever needed to, or there's the door to go outside. And I hear somebody coming down the first flight of stairs, so I thought my cousin just forgot something and was coming down to get it. But it only came down the first flight and didn't come the rest of the way down, and just stopped. And I listened for a while. I'm like, what is she doing? But nothing. And the next thing I know, there's somebody walking around above the kitchen, where the kitchen is, where our kitchen is as well. I'm like, how did you get from one place to the other without me hearing you? It was just a little strange. Eventually my cousin moved out, and we took over the upstairs, and that's where our bedrooms were. And nope, I didn't ever feel welcomed up there. I had never spent a whole lot of time up there to begin with, obviously, because my cousins lived there. But I didn't like it up there. And I was one of those angsty teenagers that liked to spend all their time in the bedroom when the bedroom was down on the ground floor. As soon as it was up upstairs, I was only there to sleep. I didn't want to be there. It didn't feel at all comfortable. And I wasn't the only one. None of us that were up there wanted to spend time up there. Like, we used to spend a lot of time, like, in our bedrooms, because we had a shared bedroom. It was pretty big before we moved up. We used to spend a lot of time there. And you'd think when you move up and you get your own bedroom and you have just as much, almost just as much space just to yourself, you'd spend time there. Did not want to. And then it just kind of, we ended up moving back down. And
The rooms?
yeah, the rooms came back down and we rented. And just little things still seemed to happen. Like, I'd be sleeping. Maybe my sister switched beds for some reason one night. I think she had somebody over and my bed was bigger. And so her bed faces out into the kitchen. And I'm trying to sleep, and like I see somebody out of the corner of my eye come out into the kitchen. I thought, it was my mom. But I look and there's nobody there. So I'm just like, okay, nope. Close my eyes, and then papers start rustling, and I'm like, can we please stop that? I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're looking for, but we need to stop because I want to sleep. So just little things like that just kept happening. And yeah, so I moved here, and then it's just little things just keep happening, and we just think in regards to that grandma's just following us around because things like that. I'm glad Will stayed there. Whatever that was, I'm glad that it stayed there, because I've only ever felt that uncomfortable one other time, and it was one of the times where I moved into an apartment for university. Not an apartment, like a house for university with somebody else my mom knew. And before we moved in, he was giving me a tour where my bedroom would be, where everything was, and then came down into the basement to show me where like extra freezers and extra fridge, there was exercise equipment I could use and stuff like that. But like, came down and I'm just like, don't want to be here again. Like, it was like very similar feeling. Like, I did not want anything to do with it, but I was still there because I wasn't alone. It was a pretty nice basement. Like, it wasn't completely finished, but it was still pretty nice. Did not want to be there. And I'm looking around as he's still talking and my mom's talking, and there's this wall of games that he had from when his kids who had lived with him had left. And I'm just looking because there's some interesting ones, and then I see it. And there's a Ouija board. And I don't know if you guys believe in that stuff. I've just heard way too many stories from people I know to even want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'll move in if you get rid of that. If you don't get rid of that, I'm not coming down here, and I might start looking for a new place because I don't. And I think what really set me off was that I felt that feeling that like I had felt at my other house without even knowing that it was there. So like, it just kind of like
reinforced.
Yeah, like I did not like, and he admitted it had been used in the house, and I'm like, it needs to go. So I visited a couple more times, and the one time we had to come down to store a couple of my things, and I didn't feel it anymore. And he was kind of looking at me, and I'm like, you got rid of it? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Yeah, he gave it back to his daughter, who put it in the lobby of her apartment building, and I guess within the next couple days it was gone. So good luck to whoever took that. But yeah, so like, there was a few more things that happened in that house that I'm not sure I want to get into too much, just because it was around death that happened in that house. But like things like, again, more movement, more, there was an alarm on the stove that had to be turned quite, like you had to intentionally turn it on to get the timer to start going. And like at midnight, I'm trying to sleep and it's going off. I'm trying to figure out
No, thank you.
how it's going off. And then there's other times where it sounds like somebody's banging around pots and pans, but I'm the only one there because this guy's on shift work, so not there. I didn't leave my room in the night while I was there. Just, nope. But, yeah, like, it's just, like I said, even now, there's still times where I'll be at, like, my mom's place, and, like, I used to sleep out on the couch because my sister used to live there, and I don't do well sleeping with other people, so I would sleep on the couch by myself, and, like, I'd hear somebody in the kitchen, and I'm like, but nobody walked past me. I didn't hear my sister's door open. Like, okay, it's probably, like, the only way I'm sleeping at night, if I say it's probably grandma, because I'm not.
That's enough for you.
That's enough. That's enough. She's safe. It's enough. We're good. Yeah. Those were the, like, I said those were the only 2 times that I felt that bad. There were times where I felt watched, and that was mostly at one of my friends' houses. Again, it's tied to, like, there was a death on the property, and just, like, things would happen, doors would open. You felt like you were being watched upstairs on the landing. And, like, I never really brought it up to my friend until after she moved, and she was like, yeah, that was just living in the house, was constantly feeling like that. And she's like, I'm like, do you want to know what happened there? Because I didn't know until after I brought it up to my mom, because she knew the people that used to live there. And she's like, nope, don't want to know. And I'm like, okay. But, like, it's just little things around here. Like, I don't know how, like, in the moment, they're terrifying, because, like, things I can't touch, but they can touch, like, potentially can touch things in this physical, like rustling papers or pots and pans moving. Like, I can't see you, but you're doing things, kind of like, it's just, it's very much out of your control. And, whether you believe in stuff like that, or if you think it's just an overactive imagination, you have to agree that if you were to, experience that, you'd be, even if you were thinking, like, it's just my imagination, in that moment, like, your fight or flight your response just kind of kicks in, and you're just kind of, like, tensed and waiting for the other shoe to drop. So I don't know how scary those were, but, like, have been my experiences, and also why I will never touch a Ouija board in my life. And
go ahead. I was gonna say the same thing.
Like, I don't care how many rules you tell me about, how, like, to keep it from coming into your life. It's not happening. It's also why I'm I'm an antique person. Like, I like antique things. There's a stall at an antique market I won't go into. I don't know what's in there. I don't like it. It's the only one in the entire, like, it's a huge place, and it's the only one in the entire place I won't touch. Like, I won't go anywhere near. But also, like, I won't buy mirrors that come from an antique place.
Well, that makes sense, because
you don't know mirrors.
Who used that mirror?
Well, not even just that. Mirrors, depending on what you believe in, mirrors can be seen as a portal to the other side. And you don't know what these mirrors have witnessed. You don't know how they've been set up. You should really never, if you believe in this stuff, never have two mirrors facing each other. That just kind of increases it.
Oh, I never knew.
yeah, kind of like not a good aesthetic to have. But yeah, so like I won't, mirrors are something I really won't buy antique. But everything else you kind of like, I kind of like get a feel for it. And if I bring it in and stuff starts happening, I'm burning it with fire. No, I'll get rid of it and just, you know, kind of.
Yeah,
That's that.
my mom kind of does the same thing. She's kind of more or less a super. Okay, gotta change the battery. Do you remember the last thing you were saying?
I think we were talking about, you were talking about your mom does something similar with
yeah,
like antiques and stuff.
Does anything that is used, it doesn't even matter if it's antique or not, before it even goes into our house, my mom either leaves it outside for 48 hours getting the sunlight, or she puts it in coarse salt. And if the salt turns black, she leaves it outside.
I mean, whatever works.
At least that's what she believes in. Like my encounters with the paranormal were, I have 3 scary ones. I mean, they were scary to me, but they started since I was really young, and they are more of the witchy kind. Like my best friends and my mom always call me a witch. Sometimes it gets really annoyed because whenever they want something, it was like, Paulina, can you just wish for that? It was like, I'll try. So the first thing that ever happened, I never knew until I was 11 years old. So I'll start with that. When I was 11 years old, I had a sleepover. I think it was one of the first sleepovers. I moved around a lot, and we had guests coming from the city we used to live in to visit us in my new city. And I got really close to my parents' friend's daughter. And on the last day before she went, she asked for a sleepover, so she came to sleep in my room. In the middle of the night, I wake up to people screaming. This girl is terrified. My mom comes in, her mom comes in. They tell us to calm down. She goes to her mom's room. I go back to sleep. In the morning, my mom tells me, yes, so you woke up in the middle of the night and you sat on the bed and you were having this conversation with someone. And you were having a conversation in a language that nobody can recognize. But you should be fine because you've been doing this since you could talk, and is most nights, and it never scared us, and you seem to really enjoy the person you have a conversation with because you laugh a lot. I was like, oh, okay. So after the night, I was so scared that has never happened again. But looking back in my life, I feel that whoever it is of light and is protecting me, because I feel safe. And every time if bad things happen to me, they happen in the best possible way. So I feel like that, I don't know what that is, but it's still following me, but in a good way. And I think the reason why I never talked to them again in my sleep that I know of, well, people would have told me, is because I was so scared. And it goes back to other things that I could make happen when I was younger. And one day there was like this witch psychic kind of person that studied that, and they said that you can block it when you're afraid, and you can block your connection. And I think that's what happened to me. She told me to unleash my power. I still haven't, because I'm still afraid of what can happen. The reason why I'm afraid, and now I'm going back, is because I don't know if people that have any of the onces, like clairvoyance or whatever, you need to either focus and be in control of your powers in order to summon or accept it, or you have to be in a moment of pure emotion. And all the things happened when I was angry, because that was the one emotion growing up that I could not control, and I've always lived all of my feelings. So there was a couple times that I made bad things happen, and that made me scared too. The first one was I was spending the summer with my aunt, and sometimes she would bring me to her work. I was just there pretending to be her secretary, getting people coffees and water, whatever. There was this very grumpy man that did not like it. And he kept being really mean to me to the point of bullying. And I was like a 11-year-old child. He was bullying me. And I really disliked it. And then one day he said he wouldn't be there. The following week, he said something really mean to me, and I don't remember. And I said, like under my breath, I wish you'd die. And then I felt so guilty about that I said, I don't wish you'd die, but it would be bad if, you had like a car accident or something. It would be good if you had a car accident or something. So on Monday I went back to work and he never showed up, and I asked my aunt where he was. Not that I was complaining, I was hoping to hear that he was on vacation and I wouldn't have to deal with him for the week. But no, he was in the hospital because he went on a road trip. He came back, the car rolled over. He was in a coma, but just for a few hours. They brought him back, but now both his legs were broken. Could it be a coincidence? Probably. I would rather think that I don't know. I would rather believe that I saw it coming, that I made it, but I don't know. And the next day it happened with my mom. My mom and I, like my partner, Luke, he's experienced my mom and I. When we get mad at each other, we yell that you can hear from blah, 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 blah. And then 5 minutes later, we talk either about going to the movies to watch something or trying this new restaurant, okay? So we have those moments. And like I said, I think between 11 and 15, I had anger issues. Not anger, well, I did have anger issues, but just all my emotions were too big for me and I didn't know how to deal with them. So I bottled everything up, and when it came out, it came out. This one day, my mom was dragging me to this one thing that I really did not want to go. Like, I cannot stress enough how much I don't want to go. And she had a car. It was a new car. This is important. And in Brazil, most people drive standard. So I was in the car. She was like basically putting me in the car and said, you're gonna have to behave when you go. There was like, Mom, I just want to stay here and either watch TV or whatever. I just didn't want to go. And then she started like saying, no, we're gonna go. Puts in the car. She locks both doors like from her side. I'm so angry that I'm not proud of this, but I screamed, like not bad though. I was like, ah! Like that scream. The moment I screamed, she turned the car on, and as she went to move the gear to first gear so she can go out, the whole gearbox fell to the floor through the car. Needless to say, we didn't go. But that was scary. And then the two other, well, it was scary in a different way. For the scary things that, like some of the things that happened, I find beautiful and they're really nice. I always have dreams about like my friends, in good or bad, but in time for me to warn them. Like I have a best friend, every single time she got pregnant or lost a baby or got pregnant again and went into labor, I dreamed ahead of time and I let her know, and it was coincidence. I'm connected to some friends that sometimes when they're not feeling well, their name just pop in my head and I reach out and it's like, oh my God, I was just either thinking about you or I was expecting you to contact me because this is a really bad moment for me and I know you all sense. So, and my grandma's death was another one. She had cancer, and first she had cervical cancer. She had a hysterectomy. They did a biopsy. The doctor made a mistake and he thought it came back clear, but it hadn't. And she was afraid of hospitals, so she never went back. 4 years later, it was undeniable that the cancer had not only come back, but it was generalized. It had taken most of her internal organs. So she was in pain. We had a nurse come every other day, trigger alert, but she get like 1 liter out of her stomach with a big injection. But for the first 3 months of her life, she was in a hospital. The day she went to the hospital, I went to the hospital with her, but I knew my grandma. She wasn't a vein. She was a saint to a fault. But she hated people visiting her because they didn't want people to remember her there. She wanted us to remember her at her happiest. Nobody accepted it because you know how sometimes when people are sick, I really hate it that it's about them, but they don't realize that. But so everybody kept visiting her or whatever. I refused to, even though I was judged by everyone, but I know that's what my grandma did. But I called her every night in the hospital. We got a phone in her room, so I called her every night. And every night, it just came organically. On the first day, we would say good night, and then I love you too. And like in Portuguese, we have something that says abençoa, which is bless. So when you're talking to someone, usually an elder, you can ask them for their blessing, and they say bless you, child. And then my grandma started doing the same thing. She started asking me for blessing, and I would say blessing, but that was our thing. And then we ended with see you tomorrow, or talk to you tomorrow. This one day, we were on the phone. Everything went well until that moment when we were supposed to say see you tomorrow. I didn't let her hear, but tears were just screaming through my eyes. I was mute. I could not say it. And in my head, I was like, please say it. Please say it. If you say it, it's going to be all right. If you say it's going to be all right. She couldn't say it either. Then we just said, I love you again. I think at that point, we both knew that's the day she's going to die. We just didn't want to say it, talk about it to ruin the moment. I hung up the phone, and I remember I went to my room. I opened a book, Sophia's Choice, and I started reading. And I stopped. That's the only book I DNF'd in my life. I stopped reading the moment the phone rang. My grandfather answered the phone. I used to live in his house, so he would have company at the time. So he came to my bedroom house. I closed the book, never opened again. And I just looked at him, is she dead? And he said yes. So that was like not scary. But it was definitely interesting. For scary things, we just like in Brazil, we just ate that shit up, man, because we don't have them everywhere. So of course, at this point, I think I was 15ish. I went to a friend's house, and she used to live on this narrow 4-level house.
Okay.
And they had just moved there. And the top, I still remember, there was nothing on the top other than a patio, kind of, that was half covered.
Okay.
And then the other one, you could see like, if it rained, it would rain on you, basically.
Okay.
So, but it was all concrete. We decided it was a great idea to make our own Ouija. So we got a paper, ABC, and at the time I didn't know this, but instead of the planchette, we got one of the worst things, I think we got, which was a cup that we actually filled with water.
I'm judging you so
I know. I
hard
didn't know
right
that. That
now.
was like, we could have gotten everything. Why did we have to make like a makeshift portal to like water? But anyway, we did this, and we started like talking, and we were laughing, and we thought that, you know, we're moving things around. And then finally someone came, and we were talking to them, and they were spelling their name, and I don't remember the exact things they led to it because the end really terrified me. But basically, we are talking to someone, let's call this person John, and they were answering the questions, but then the answers started to get darker and darker, and then that was the point in which all 4 of us, or 5 of us, that, you know, kind of sat around like a pentagram, because why not? I know!
Continue.
I know, I was 15. But anyway, we decided at that point to ask, oh, are you of good or evil?
You didn't lead with that?
No, why?
Why didn't you lead with that?
We didn't know what we were doing. We got everything we know from horror movies, and you know they make mistakes in horror movies. But anyway, so Portuguese is a language that we do have feminine and masculine forms for a lot of words, especially adjectives. And the word for evil for a male, it has 3 words, M-A-L, Mal. So this thing starts going M, which you already know is not good because good starts with B. And it starts going to the A, and then we just take our fingers off and just move. And the thing, I swear, it went to the K, and then back to the K, and back to the K, and then back to the K. Is not KKK as in English, is, you know how you have LOL for laugh out loud? In Portuguese, when you laugh, we just do the K because K sounds like ka, so it's the sound of a laughter. Ka, 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 ka. So it was laughing at us, and then we started screaming. The cup went all the way up, and then it fell on the floor, and it shattered. We ran downstairs. I never went back to my friend's house. I felt bad. But yeah, so that was like really scared.
You're lucky.
It didn't follow me, I know.
Yeah, especially
I know.
because you let go without saying goodbye.
I don't know if it's in her house or not. I mean,
Well, yeah.
like, I'm lucky. I don't know if she is.
Well, you're not. The thing is that it could have. You said there's like 5 of you there, so it might not even be. Might have not have even stayed at the house.
It could have followed
called
any.
somebody because you guys let go without saying goodbye. Judging you so hard right now.
No more than I judge myself every day. Like, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I had to share it, be a cautionary tale. I still want to do a Ouija board, but the right way. Maybe one day I try to convince Teresa. She always says no.
No.
And she's the only person I would trust
No.
to do it properly, but yes.
And if you ever do it, don't do it where you live.
No.
Just don't.
That's the one thing
Please.
I know. I won't.
But also, no.
I know, it's part of me. It's just it's that thing, right? Grief is a big part of my life, and I just want to either talk to my dad or my granddad, or I want to know who this thing is with me, but I don't think it's worth the risk.
You don't know if that's who you're gonna get.
I know. That's the only thing holding me back. Because if I could guarantee I would get them back,
Go see a medium.
I want to. I just don't know one.
Don't ask. I don't know one either.
Yeah, especially like the main reason I wanted to see a medium was because of something that happened last year. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we moved to the house we live in now, rooms were randomly chosen. My son got a room. I never liked his room. I never said it to him. I never liked his room. I can be there in the day, but during the night, especially between midnight and 3, or in the middle of the night, if I'm leaving there, I feel that someone is watching me, and someone is watching me, or I feel an energy watching me from different points of the room. There has been days that I was too hot. I just wanted to go to the room to sleep by myself, but I just can't. Physically, I can't be comfortable enough to be in that room at night by myself in the dark. I always brush it off. It comes and goes, whatever. Then the pandemic came, trigger alert for mental health, but I got really depressed, and the more depressed I got, the more uneasy I got in the room. My son one day said, I don't want to sleep in my room anymore. Mom was like, why not? It was like, because there's someone watching me. And I was like, not true. You probably overheard me saying this. So I drew a picture of his room, and I asked him where he thinks this person stands, and the 3 spots that he pointed out are exactly the same ones. I feel it. So needless to say, I got scared, and the one thing that always kept me from freaking out about the house was that I have the stairs come up this way, and then we have a bathroom here, the door to my room, the landing kind of ends here, and then we have the other 2 rooms that way. I've always felt that whatever it was could not pass where the landing is, so I would never even get to the door of my room. But the scarier it got, and the more depressed I got, the more it started moving. I could feel it one day even at my door, and that started freaking me out. And my dog sometimes would just look at the same spot I was feeling and bark. Could it be something? Who knows? I honestly don't think that was necessarily... I don't know if it's gonna make sense to you or not, but I don't think it was a presence. What I think happened is someone who lived in this house at some point had something really traumatic happen to them in their room. I like trigger warning, so just mute me until I go this. But I don't know if a child was abused in their room, or if someone had suicidal thoughts in their room, or actually
went through with it.
So I know the energy is there of something that happened. I don't think is an entity or a spirit or anything.
Like a conscious thing that's you think it's just like the energy of something that's happened in the past that stayed there because maybe for all you know you have running water under your house, or you have some sort of quartz under your house, limestone, whatever. It's just something there that just kind of kept a recording of whatever happened, and it manifests in different ways. So maybe for your son it was somebody standing watching. For you it's just a feeling that you're being watched, but also like in a negative way. And then it just, as you feel those emotions, that you're putting them out there and feeding back into it, and that when you do that it grows bigger.
Exactly.
Right? Like it just takes up more presence in your house.
And it was also a presence that I knew it didn't like me. Like, because many people was left in the room. It impacted me.
Okay,
right.
But is that it didn't...
Well, it didn't like me in something.
Like you... Like, I'm doing this because if you're thinking it's not conscious, then it's not like it didn't like you, but maybe it just... Not so much didn't like you, but it attached the energy, like you had some sort of connection with it. Because you say, you know, you have big emotions, especially towards the negative. Like you bottle up and then you let go. So it just kind of maybe attached to you as opposed to everybody else in your house.
Or it could be that I'm more sensitive and I could actually feel it.
As opposed to maybe they're less sensitive, so it's attached or it's there and they just don't feel it.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing. And I studied a lot. I tried to find a medium at the point because it was getting worse and it was affecting my son too. And I knew that my depression was really feeding into it. And I was afraid at the point that between my fear and my depression, I was creating a poltergeist. So I really wanted to avoid that. I don't know if you can create one or not. But
yeah, like there's arguments that you can create, like because the poltergeist is just generally a bunch of negative energy that kind of takes on a life of its own. There's arguments that it can be controlled by the person, partially anyways, controlled by the person that's created it. You also run the risk of again, this is all if you believe this stuff, guys. But like you run the risk of attracting other things that are just passing by. It was something I wanted to mention when you said like when you said somebody telling you that to just kind of like unleash and own whatever inner, voyance or whatever you have is, and you're just like hesitant. Well, because it's attached to such a big negative emotion. Some people find it an issue because it makes them a lighthouse, a beacon for things just to start coming in. And so you have to learn, if you are gonna just let it go, you're gonna have to learn how to
protect myself.
Put barriers isn't the right word. It's like boundaries. Boundaries is the right word. Boundaries so that things don't go out of your control. Because could be a negative. It could also be like you could have also been technically creating a portal again, that because so it's definitely worth like listening to your gut and maybe just, I don't know, just keeping an eye on what's going on in your house.
I know. And I think the one thing that helped that calm down was a couple of things. I reached out to Jen and Ellis from the Light Side of the Paranormal. They gave me some really good advice. I'll link the channels down below. And I reached out to everyone I could think of. I really wanted a medium, but they said just do sage and tell it to go away. I was afraid to do that because I didn't want to accidentally send my protector away too. And they said that wouldn't happen because you have to be intentional. If it's like talk directly to it. So I did say, you're now welcome here. I saged the house, and at the same time, I don't know if this was psychosomatic or what, but I also asked my dad if he hadn't like completely went to around where he can come back. If he was still kind of around here, please protect me. And I don't know if that worked or not, but I've been dreaming a lot about him. And it's funny because after I said that, I had this very specific dream about my dad that was kind of convoluted, but included him putting things in a chest and then burying it, and then being with me and making sure we were protected. And my mom has a medium friend. Well, she's not a medium.
Sensitive?
Yeah, like she doesn't do this for a living, but she sees ghosts and talks to them.
So technically you could say like she is a medium, but like she doesn't go out and, you know, offer these services. She just sees, like, yeah, she's sensitive.
And that's funny because the same night I had that dream, she had a very similar dream because she called my mom and thought it was weird because I was in it and my dad was in it. I was like, okay, who knows? Maybe my dad didn't buy protector save me. But I'm happy to say that I also started taking medication, and seeing a therapist. So things are kind of good. We're still working towards making, my son's move to his room permanent. He's still not very comfortable, so we're moving him to a different room. But yeah, and
that could just be like a psychological thing. Like, you could have pushed back whatever the negative feeling is, and that's blocked off now. But like, for kids, some things stick, and you don't want to be like, you're always going to associate, like I'm always going to associate that upstairs part of my house with negativity.
Yeah.
It probably would have been nice if we had saged it and gotten rid of whatever, or at least contained it, but I don't think I'd ever would have been comfortable sleeping up, like staying up there for extended periods of time. Because it'd always be in the back of my mind, well, what if?
Right? Who wants to risk that?
So
I don't.
I can get where your son's coming from, where, what, like, it feels better, great, but what if it comes back? What if it's just hiding? What if? Mm-hmm. So might just be better for him mentally.
Should just get a different room that he
different
doesn't associate.
Room, different association, clean break, whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that's what we want to do too. And I think as far as I can remember right now, I just have one more story, and it has to do with sleep paralysis. So do with it what you may. You may just think it was scientifical. But I suffer a lot from sleep paralysis. Most times it's bad, but it's fine. And I don't know if you know what it is, but at least for me, it's I'm awake, but my body is asleep. My mind is aware I'm awake. I'm trying to get my body to move, and it won't. And I feel like I can't scream, and I can talk, and most of the times I even see myself moving around the house that I'm staying. This has happened in different places. It's always the same layout until I can finally get somewhere and get help. Sometimes I can't even walk, like in the vision part of it. I drag myself, and the worst part is trying to scream, or tell myself to wake up, and that doesn't happen. Sometimes it's just a feeling. Sometimes I see a demon in the corner playing with me, moving the bed or moving around, which is scary in itself. But the scariest one I had was when this one day I was having an episode, and this creature that I can't explain is like close to the Slender Man, but not really. It was just really, really tall, really, really slim. But somehow he was wearing white with a hood. It looked like sweatpants and a sweatshirt, but I can't explain. I know, that's what I was going to say. It's like he's hip, but
It's scary.
But there was no face. It was just black. Like I could see shadow for the hands, but there was no hands. I just knew it was there, and I knew it wasn't nice. So I started in the bedroom door, and then it started walking towards me, and then it was on my side of the bed, and then it started like still standing on the floor looking closer to me, and I was desperate at the time because I knew if it got to me, something really bad was going to happen, and I just tried screaming and I couldn't. I was just telling myself, if I can just move my pinky, I can like snap out of it. And then all of a sudden it started floating, and it was floating above me, and it was lowering, and then somehow, I don't know how, if it was good timing or whatever, but I managed to move my pinky, and then I started screaming, and I screamed, woke up everyone, and I couldn't explain. I did not go back to sleep that day. But that was like the scariest episode of sleep paralysis. Of even more of the demons. I don't get why I was more scared of this one,
because there's multiple reasons. Again, you could just say it's maybe you were feeling the most anxiety before you had that episode, if you want to take a more scientific approach to it. Obviously it was different. You never had it before. The demon that always stays, from what I can tell,
terrorizes me, but from a distance.
From a distance, or the way I took it was also you as an out-of-body experience, so you were there but not there. Whereas this was, you felt you're still in your body.
I was.
And it got closer and closer and closer, and you couldn't wake yourself up, for lack of a better word. So sleep paralysis is an interesting, depending who you talk to, it's either, all your mind making up hallucinations or fragments of your conscious and unconscious thoughts throughout the day or whatever. I'm not a doctor. I don't study sleep paralysis at all. Or there's some people who just think like you're more open once you're there because, your mind is awake. Obviously, it's something has disrupted, I believe it's your REM sleep.
I think so, because it happens right before you get to the REM sleep.
Okay,
on
so
that
whatever
stage between consciousness and unconsciousness.
So something disrupts it, and just maybe you're more open. I don't know.
But it's
the
not
human.
pleasant.
No, the human mind is a complicated place
for sure.
So, yeah, no, I don't know how you deal with that.
As long as I wake up, I'm fine.
I don't know how you deal with that.
And here I'm thinking, I don't know how you deal with Will. Because, see, if it was...
he's not in my life anymore.
Fact. Yeah.
But, you always... When you have that stuff, you always...
It can show up anytime.
I'm talking about this, but, I don't know if talking about it is going to invite it back into my life. Like, I don't know how attached it is to that house. I don't know if how talking about this might dredge up something else. I also, this is a stupid fear, and I'm going to put it out there. You never know what people, if you live in an apartment like I do, what people are doing in their apartments.
That's
and
true.
What they're potentially letting loose. And yeah, that's just a silly, like, I say silly, but like, it's just like, I'm like, just.
No, but you're right, because you kind of are connected here. It's like the same
Technically
physical
one
space.
big house. It's
Yeah.
one big house. So, like, yeah. No, it's definitely, no matter, again, I think it's no matter what you believe in, I think we as people, you said it, Brazil, they really like horror. They really like scary things. Or at least with some of them. And like, it's obviously a big genre for a reason, and there's something
Exactly.
about it like that draws people, that makes you want to experience that, I guess, without actually experiencing it. Like, I'm gonna watch a horror movie because, like, oh, that's terrifying, but it's on a screen. It's not in my life. And
That's
then
true, and that's
it's-
why, like, for example, I like horror movies that make me scared, but I can reason that could not happen in real life. Whether it be because, you know, Freddy Krueger can be completely real, but I don't live on Elm Street.
or an Elm Street, like which Elm Street we're talking about. Yeah, no, definitely the ones that more center around things that can actually happen
Are really scary.
are definitely less. No.
That's why, like, possession, entity, demon, paranormal stuff, I believe that. So those are the ones that scare me
No,
the
what's
most.
funny though is like with stuff like that, like with the Conjuring universe, those movies, they actually put priests in to bless and warn everybody before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a documentary kind of on YouTube about, I don't remember what it's called. I'm sorry. It just showed up on my I just kind of let it play one day, where like they say like they brought people in because they're dealing with so much with the unknown and with, you know, scripture, and again,
That's
depending on
true.
what you believe in, and with all that other stuff. And they were warned that, you know, the other side, the whatever you want to call it, doesn't know this is fake.
Exactly. All they see is a Ouija board and people using it, for example.
It or anything like there's people out there that also believe like you put enough thought and energy into something, you can create it. So they brought somebody in just to kind of like bless it and make sure they weren't doing anything too much, I guess. I don't know, because they kind of kept them around and like that kind of thing. But like, so it's definitely people want to experience it, but there's still the thought of what if.
it's real.
Yeah, what if. So and I think that's why people are drawn to it too, because what if this can happen?
Exactly.
So
And there's something about fear. Like, I know some people watch horror movie because they love the gore, they love it all, and they are not scared because they don't believe in the paranormal, and that's fair. But also, there's those that watch, people like me. I watch it because it terrifies me. There's something about fear that is really visceral and kind of makes you feel alive. So I don't know. I like, as long as I know I'm safe, I like feeling the fear because it's very primal. I guess
I think for me, it's almost to a point like I would prefer watching a scary movie over getting on a roller coaster because there's less risked my
Oh, I mean, I don't
life.
go on roller coasters. I'm really scared.
I have, but I don't. It's everybody's looking for something to get their heart rate up. That isn't exercise. I don't know. It's definitely an interesting topic. You could probably go
Gone
off.
forever. So, do you have any thoughts, input, stories that you want to add?
Never to a Ouija board. You can quote me on that, Paulina. It's not happening. I'm sorry. If I ever have amnesia and you trick me into doing it,
I won't.
I'll kick your butt. Just, I think the main thing is whether you believe or not, if somebody's coming to you and telling you things, listen. I'm going to take a very probably social worky, caring mom role. Listen. Don't dismiss it, because obviously if it's paranormal or not, it's something's going on in their life, and they trust you enough to come to you, whether they're an adult, especially if they're a child.
Yes.
And take whatever steps they need to feel more comfortable, whether that's going through a sage, or getting your whatever religion you're in, whoever is at the head of that religion, like a priest or somebody, to bless your room or wherever, like just going through those steps, and but also maybe, depending on what it is, recommending somebody else to talk to who's an unbiased third party, whatever, just kind of, but don't ever dismiss them, I guess, is what I want to say. It's just that they trust you for a reason. Kind of be there. Like when you go to somebody with an issue, if it was like you'd want them to listen. So unjudgmentally. That's just it. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you, and especially, like you said, if it is a child, because remember, sometimes your life is scarier than movies. So sometimes something really bad is happening to the child, and their monsters are very much real, whether they are paranormal or not. So don't ever tell anyone it's just in your head. Just listen to them, and if you don't know how to cope with it, just ask open-ended questions and find the right person to help them. But I agree with that. It's very important.
Okay.
And that's it. If you want more discussions on the paranormal with our special guest, let me know down below. I'll try to convince her at some point. Without a Ouija board, that's not going to happen apparently.
No.
Okay. And if you have any stories of your own that you want me to read and react to, you can send me or comment them down below and start things. And welcome to my 13 Nights of Halloween. I'll see you tomorrow with something else, I think.
You think?
No, because, okay, so if you've seen this, it's because I am doing the 13 Nights of Halloween. But right now, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I think it's a big project that I gave myself.
Need to bounce ideas off somebody. Just text me.
I will. But anyway, I'll probably see you tomorrow. And if this goes or according to planning, probably watching in the morning. But I'll be posting my videos every night until Halloween at 3 in the morning. Of course.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going all in, people. But thanks for being here. And even though it is my 13 Nights of Halloween, I'll see you end with my outro. I hope that you have a fantastic day. And until next time, be the hummingbird. Bye.
Bye.